So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Keep talking. I'm going to go miss the lights real quick.
You got it.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
If you're Oregon, why wouldn't you rest your starters in one of the next 2 games? Oregon makes the playoffs even with 2 losses at this point. If they rest their starters against Washington, then they're increasing their chances of winning against an injured Ohio State and getting that first round bye. If they beat Washington and rest their players against Ohio State, then they likely get the 5 seed with an extra rest for their starters and a somewhat easier path to the national title. Ari, this is diabolical. I don't think they're going to do it. But 1, should they? 2, if you had the choice of doing it, which game would you do it for?
Oh, man. The question here, I guess, is does the Big Ten title matter to people? Like, does winning the Big Ten matter to you? And you have to answer that. And I think that the coaches...
I think it matters to Oregon in year 1.
I think it matters to Oregon. I think it matters to Ohio State. I think that winning your conference matters. So, like, you just got done telling me that the regular season got ruined in the past because of the 4-team field because we were so hyper-focused on the playoff. So, like, that message right there would do exactly what you just said, right? Like that would to the nth degree, right? It would just be like, okay, we don't care about anything other than seeding and all that stuff. And it's like, you know, I hate to invoke Herm Edwards here because I think it's cliche, but like you do play to win. Like the whole point of playing is to win.
Right. And this is why I can't imagine them doing this in either case. Because think about the psychological damage Washington inflicted on Oregon by beating them the last 3 times they've beaten them. Like, if you're Oregon, you want to win that game real bad.
Yeah, and also, too, if you rest your players for the Washington game in this hypothetical scenario, then do you bring them back for the Ohio State game to try to win the conference? Because I still think that if they rested their players against Washington and then beat Ohio State again, they would be 1. And nothing would change. But then at the same time, you might want to rest them for both so that you're a 2-loss team who finishes in 5. But then how do you seed properly if you're resting?
Then you're a 3-loss team. Oh, no, 2-loss team. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. They're undefeated.
5 seed if they lost their next 2, right?
Yeah.
Like what message do you send to the committee? Like it would be like crazy. Like let's go down the rabbit hole of this and like actually picture them doing it.
The committee's not going to like that. They're gonna downgrade. Like you're not going to be the 5 seed.
But how does the committee even judge a team if their starters aren't playing?
You punish them for not playing them. You can do that. Also,
I guess, but like where's that?
There's no proof in the NFL that resting your starters works. In fact, some people say, it hurts you when you get to the playoff.
Thing. I think it'd be like being healthy and not injured helps you. But there's a big enough layover between your first game in the playoff and your Big Ten champ. There's like, isn't there 3 weeks in between or 2 weeks?
Well, if you're Oregon and you win the Big Ten, then you're going to get 3 weeks. If you're going to get 2 weeks if you don't.
In 3 weeks for these guys, they're in peak physical condition. Like 3 weeks is a long time for these athletes to get healthy and ready. Like that's a long time. So like the thing to me that's more interesting than resting players and being healthy is the gamesmanship of you looking at the potential bracket and resting your players to get an easier path to the Final Four. Like, because like I would have that conversation.
This right here, this is a Donruss Elite box from Panini. Visit PaniniAmerica.net to start collecting your favorite college and NFL stars. They've got the Luminance series, which has NIL cards that feature, I don't know, there's a Arch Manning, DJ Lagway's in there. So get to ripping some packs. PaniniAmerica.net. Start your collection now.
Do you want to do everything in your power to ensure that you are playing for a national championship this year? And would you sacrifice the Big Ten championship to play ASU and Boise in the first round rather than having to play the winner of Tennessee and Georgia in the second round? Like that, to me, like I would definitively rather play Arizona State and Boise than have to play Georgia in the second round. Right. So, and like, that's no disrespect to Arizona State, but like, the fact is that like, you're not Georgia. So, and I don't think that they're even pretending that they are. So like the thing that needs to be fixed, and I hope that it will when we get further down the line of like the evolution of how this all works, Andy, is how do we fix the seating so that you actually reward the teams? Because it's like we're going to get into a bunch of arguments about seating, and it's like we haven't had a single argument about seating this year. We've had arguments about who should get in, who should get out, and maybe seating comes later when it becomes more clear. But I'm not too wound up about seating, and I knew I wouldn't be. And I know that home versus away is a huge deal in this system because you get a home playoff game.
Yeah,
And that's
but the deliberate misseeding, I think, needs to stop. I think that's something that they'll probably revisit when they change things up for 2026. Because it's a nice idea to say conference champions should get the top 4. It's going to mess some stuff up. I think it's going to make it where the 5 seed's better than the 1 seed.
I think that the rule should actually just be all 4 conference champions get in. And we're going off the rankings.
You wind up where you wind up. Yeah.
And if you are a conference champion who's the highest ranked and you ranked 15th, then we'll slot you at 12. Like that's,
right.
I would do it in the reverse. I would save the spots and then I would reverse it at the end rather than guaranteeing the conference champions are one. Because like in 2 conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, the conference champion actually should be a top 4 seed. But the other conferences, they don't. So, like, we don't have to pretend like the Big 12 deserves the same. Or you could say the SEC and the Big 10 champions are 1 and 2 no matter what, and then everybody else is like, I would be okay with that because if they're not
and also
created equally,
there's also the possibility that in the next version, which would start in 2026, that they dump the bowls for the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and you're playing for home field advantage in the throughout the playoffs, which is a significant thing. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to watch those first round games on campus and they're going to be like, we're idiots if we put these in bowls any longer.
And I know that like college is a little bit different, but I looked at the bowl schedule because I've been sending it to my wife every day because she's like, okay, we need to look at the bowl schedule. We're going to be busy those days. Why can't you just reseed after each game? Like what's the reason? Because fans need to have the opportunity
because of the bowls. Right. But yeah.
But why? How is that any different than NFL fans?
Because NFL fans live in the town where they're going because they have them on in your spot.
I know, but
it's
NFL fans also but NFL fans have away fans too that like book at the last second too. Like, I mean, right? I don't know,
but it's a few fans. It's not most of the fans. And the thing is, and that's if you go to campus sites throughout until the championship game, then you'd have the same thing. Like all the arguments about, I don't know about hotel rooms or how are people going to get the tickets they're idiotic because they have 7 home games a year and they figure it out. So the fans that go to those games normally are going to just go to the games the way they normally do.
Yeah.
You're going to have a very small group of visiting fans who then have to figure it out. They'll figure it out too.
If you had to guess, what year do you think it'll just be all home?
2026.
So you think it's right around the corner?
I think this first weekend of games is going to be so awesome that they will go, we are morons if we attempt to do this any other way.
And then can't the national championship just be a neutral site dome?
Right, just like the Super Bowl.
Then
just like the Super Bowl.
Because I do think that the national title game should be played indoors. Because I'm not a real American.
I think the Rose Bowl should be. I think Pasadena should be football's Omaha. I think they should just play the national title game in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. That's been the easiest take in the world for me for the last. Anybody who has been to the Rose Bowl knows what we're talking about, and if you haven't, especially if you come from a cold climate. I
don't think they do that because I don't think they have the suites and all the things that they would want. Like they're gonna want Atlanta and Houston and all these different cities bidding, and New Orleans. They're gonna want them bidding on it. So that's what's gonna happen.
There's something special about the indoor painted fields, fresh. You know what I'm talking about? Like that vibe. I love it.
There's nothing special about football indoors. What's wrong with you?
The way that they paint the end zones for the playoff.
You're so freaking soft. Logo. So soft.
I just want teams to be firing on all cylinders, and I think indoors
you want the perfect representation of each team and whether a climate controlled environment gives.
I don't like excuses. I don't like we would have. I just want 2 teams to play indoors and beat the shit out of each other. That's all. And whoever wins, wins. And I don't want,
Can't wait
it was
for
raining.
Farmageddon. Can't wait
Oh, it
for
was raining
Farmageddon when it's
outside, so
super
our
cold
quarterback
and
couldn't
windy.
throw or whatever. I just want both teams to play. That's all.